Hey, hey, hey! How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Max on Color. And how are you, Chad?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward for today's sessions, actually,
Yeah.
because today we're just gonna be, play around, explore a lot of good, fun stuff, and try to be creative, right? And speaking of today's sessions, that's actually the spirit of today's sessions. We're gonna take like a little break from normal grading, color corrections, and grading. We're actually gonna learn and try to get some inspirations from another disciplines. And in today's episode, we're inviting a very special guest, a dear friend of mine that goes by the artist name of Fury. And let's welcome Alex. Hey, Alex.
Woo. Hey,
What's up, man?
hey, what's up? Good. Thank you for having
Man,
me.
we're really yeah. Thank you so much for being here, man. We are really looking forward for this episode and the breakdown of your cool project. Like the first time I encounter Alex project is like through his portfolio, his website, and he has like massive amount, like a really distinctive style, if I can say it like that, and that's really like inspired me. Maybe I should just take this guy and bring it to the show, and maybe I can, extract some more good tips from him and learn some tips that I can probably apply it from VFX and compositing and apply it to the color grading. Because I think once Picasso said, a good artist copy and great artist steal, and that's what's the missions. That's the missions of today's sessions. I'm gonna steal a lot of stuff from Alex, and if you steal one stuff, it is copycat, right? But if you steal a lot from different artists, then it is research, right? So it's gonna do that today, right? Yeah, that's on today's sessions. Before we start, let me point you out to small housekeeping here. So if you want to follow what Maxon has been doing, and in this week, we have plenty of events happening. So for example, today there's a Ford Festival in Berlin, and Maxon is there. So if you're attending this festival and see like Maxon stuff there, say hi. And then also our very own trainer Ellie Wade is also in a motion School of Motions podcast today, and that would be, is it going on now live? I think so, right?
I think it
And
might be like immediately after this.
immediately after this. So yeah, there you go. You can go to maxon.net/events to check Ellie Wade sessions. And then after that, tomorrow, Hashi and Seth will be back. And if you missed the last episode of the VFX and Chill or Max on Color or the Mystifying webinar, you can always go to our YouTube channel. And if we go to YouTube, this is embarrassing. I should have prepared this, but hey, let's do it from scratch. You can go to our YouTube channel. It's called Maxon Training Team. And there you can find a lot of recordings of this kind of webinars. If you go to the playlist, you'll see that there are some the Mystifying Post-Productions webinars, Max on Colors, and also a lot of like webinar snippet. So help yourself, go to Max on Color, Max on Training Team, and YouTube, and start watching the recordings of each of the sessions. And yes, another thing is that if you haven't get one of these t-shirts, and if you want to, you can, because we have a promo code that you can use to get one of this t-shirt for free. And this is actually our gratitude to you guys, to our community, for always showing up in our show. And the code for today's t-shirt is 3D workflows. So I'm going to paste the link in the chat in a second, and you can use the code 3D workflows to get one of your t-shirts. So let me switch this off. And yeah, let's go to Alex and let's ask Alex about his things. And yeah, that's our today's missions, right? We want to learn more from Alex and get inspired from him. Hey, man, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, man?
Yeah, definitely. So hi, my name is Alex. My artist name is Huey. I am an amateur, a complete amateur. So despite whatever Max says or Chad is going to say, it's not true. It's just over exaggeration. So yeah, well, I'm basically a generalist compositor and visual effects artist. My background is full art. Like all my life, I've been doing art. Joined art school on a very young age. I think I was 5 or 6 years old when I joined the art school, and I just started with drawing. That was it. I studied for like 12 years with high school together, just like drawing, color, architecture, anything that had to do with like drawings, painting, and so on and so forth. And then I decided it's time for university, and I enrolled at the architecture university in Romania because that's where I'm coming from. And after like 2 years, I was like, I want to do art, but is this the art that I want to do? And I already was a little bit in like digital because, you have to learn AutoCAD, doing architecture and so on. So I had a little bit of knowledge about like 3D digital spaces and so on. So I knew I wanted to do something digital. And yeah, I dropped out. I'm a dropout. So I just slowly started learning, like a self-learner. I started learning, and I didn't know exactly where to start in the beginning. So I just started like very small. I watched like everybody on YouTube, heard a cool music, a cool soundtrack with some visual effects synced on the song, and I was like, I want to do that. How do I do that? So I started learning and, using the internet. And shortly after, around 2016, I moved to Germany. And I tried to enroll here also to university, which was digital media and visual effects. And guess what? After a year, I dropped again. So I'm a double dropout. I'm a double failure now. And that was mostly, again, I remember I had like this interesting conversation with my main teacher. And at that time, I only had like B1 level of German. So I had a little bit of pressure to, learn the language up to C1 because that's what's required here. And I just remember talking to him, and he was like, hey, man, I think like by the end of the third year, there's not much for us to teach you. I think it's better for you to just like go and focus on other things. And here is like a ton of material I can provide you. Here's like this and that. Here's this person, this and that. Just go do your thing. And I guess I'm a good dropout. So I dropped out. I continued self-learning and learning, and eventually I entered the freelancing world. And now I end up at Maxon. And here I am having this wonderful show with you guys.
Awesome. And yeah, speaking of your piece, man, they are really standing out. And I think this is unfair if I don't share with the audience your showreel. So what about showing your showreel first? Let me just share the showreel with the audience. I think it's going to take like around 1 or 2 minutes tops, right? So here is the showreel of Alex.
Y'all sit back and watch me speak. About to take over your screen. Talking bulls in 93. Talking mom, I'm on TV. Y'all know all I do is me. All I do is me. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. Sit back.
Man, that's fantastic showreel you have there, man. And I think if you also notice, we have like a different opening background today, and that was actually kindly donated by Alex to me, to us, so that I can look cool in the show. Thank you very much, man.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I think we had like this discussion. I just watched like everybody in the Maxon color show, and I sat there and I was like, I think I can help Max with something. And then the next day I just, hey Max, I got something for you. So it's like that was just completely random.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, always, man, good stuff always happens from something completely random. And I think last year or so, Alex, you won a contest, right? In an international contest. Can you tell me a little bit about this? And
Right. Yeah, sure. So that was the 2020 version. So I don't know if many people know, but on the East, YouTube is banned. So they use something called Bilibili, which is a huge streaming platform there. And that year, I wanted to join a contest and I wanted to win. And I was like looking for contests left and right. And truth be told, I did a bit more money too. So I was like looking for like renowned contests that had a decent prize pool. And I just came across completely random. Somebody from a group, from a Discord server just messaged me. I was like, hey, did you know that on Bilibili so many people upload your stuff and you have many views and a lot of followers
wow,
there? And I was like, no, I didn't know I had an audience like that. And then there's like, oh, here's what they upload. And I saw like hundreds, millions of views and followers on like different channels with my stuff. And I was like, I wish I would have get that much here in Europe, but
and actually, what you're seeing in the background is actually the piece that Alex submitted to Bilibili contest, and then the one that the winning piece itself, actually. Right, man.
right. And the same person also messaged me. Was like, hey, they're doing like this big contest every year on the platform, and this year it was I'm gonna mispronounce his name, so I'm sorry, Jeff, but it was from Jeff Kegley, which is the producer of Game Awards, and he was listed as sponsor and one of the judges. And I was like, that's a big name that everybody knows, and you know, with a sponsor like that, you get to, you know, have access to a prize pool. So in the beginning, it was mainly just for the prize pool, but then I kind of grew around the community that was there, and I was shifting into more passion. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I'll try my best for the next months to work on this and try to win. And that year was also because the contest was organized in a way that you could join only if you do like live action footage or game trailers and so on and so forth. And that year they added like a section called for like anime section, so you're allowed to use like animation, anime footage, and so on. And because it was new, I was like, okay, that's my niche. So I joined the category, and surprise, surprise, I won it.
You nailed it.
So
Yeah, man.
that's the story. Like,
What did you do actually with this with the project that you submit? And I actually have like the before and after clip that I can play. And could you explain a little bit, Alex? What did you do with this the project, the piece?
right. So it's a lot of compositing, a lot of Cinema 4D, a lot of RedGiant, a lot of After Effects, and it's basically me trying to come up with the story compressed in like 3 minutes. And that month, Cyberpunk, the game, was announced that comes out, and I'm a huge fan of CD Projekt Red, and I was like, I want to make something like that, but how I interpret it, because the game wasn't out, but I had, you know, just myself and my imagination. How do I imagine like a wild cyberpunkish city and what I would like to see? And I stuck to the idea, and I started working on it. And it took me a lot to find like the right scenes that I want to manipulate and change and build around. I had a lot of help from my friends, so if they are watching, thank you very much for helping me with that. So I think building the material took the most, finding the right scenes, the right characters, the right atmosphere, the right motion that I needed. And then, yeah, just a lot of RedGiant, a lot of Cinema 4D, and a lot of compositing.
Yeah, man. And I really can see that, you know, now the title makes sense. Vivid light.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you kindly also shared a project files today. Speaking of the cyberpunk title or something like that. If you saw our promo in social media, Alex also provided like some very nice short piece that you can also download today. And I think the locations it's in the Dropbox, and I will just give you the link in the chat right after this. And you can also download this and follow along with Alex, because he will break down this scene, right, Alex?
Right, that's exactly the plan.
That's the missions. All right. So if you don't mind, you can share your screen, and I'll take it from there. I'll put it out to the audience.
Okay, I'm gonna share my After Effects right now. I hope you can see my After Effects.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, great.
So I'm just gonna play it for the first time. This is basically what we're trying to achieve today. GUI, fui, cyberpunkish, main title like. And at the end of the session, I also prepare like a motion template. So for people that have a hard time following, I'll share that with you at the end, and you can like easily customize, changing color of the elements, text, and so on. So by the end, we'll go through all of that too. And yeah, let's get it started. So the main topic for today is how to use RedGiant to achieve fast looks like that. So I'm gonna get started with a solid here. I'm gonna search for universal ray gun, apply it to my solid, and we could like start from the beginning and manipulate all of the adjustments and all of the parameters that we get, but we also have access to a huge amount of presets here, and that will speed up our process. So I'm going back to motion graphics, ray gun.
Alex, can I ask you a question, Alex?
Sure.
Also, I should have asked you before we even started if it's okay if I interrupt you with questions and stuff like that, or if you just like would rather have like save it to the end or whatever. Because like a lot of times people are like, yeah, I like it to be a conversation, and some people are like, no, don't interrupt my flow. Like wait till the end. So like I don't know if you have a preference.
You can interrupt me anytime. You can interrupt me anytime.
So like a ray gun, so I'm a huge fan of Universe, and I think I'm a huge, like one of the things that makes me even more of a fan of Universe is that like a lot of people, like a lot of like good designers like don't use it because it's like they see it as like a simple thing, but there's just so much power and so many cool things you could do. So I'm like really excited to see you using like a ray gun. And you know, for those that don't know, a ray gun is almost like the MoGraph cloner in Cinema 4D, where it can copy a bunch of objects and stuff like that, but in 2D. But I know that you're really proficient with Cinema 4D. So what makes you go for a ray gun when you're really skilled with Cinema 4D?
Right. So there's different workflows that you as an artist will come across. And from my experience, like freelancing and working with different studios and different people, the two main things that they're going to ask you for is one, how good it looks, and two, how fast you are. Most of the time they will have their own pipeline, so you're going to have workflows where you'll be forced to work with their pipeline. So if they prefer to work in Nuke, they will have to work in Nuke. If they prefer to work, I don't know, let's say car in DaVinci, then you'll have to work with DaVinci. But most of the time, people only care about two things: how good it looks and how fast you are. And for me, Universe takes care of one of them, and I can focus mainly on trying to make things look good. And that's why I stuck with RedGiant for so long, mainly because they provide me that fast workflow. I can just jump in, do a few customizations, I'm done, and from there it's just me puzzling things together. And of course, if I want something more complex, or like if I want to enter the 3D space, then I'll switch to Cinema 4D. But for most of the time, if I want fast looks, I stick with RedGiant. And a ray gun is very good at that. But I'm also gonna use Trapcode Form, because you can use Trapcode Form with sprites in a combination to create like fast graphics and clone them super fast with almost no hit to your performance, and you can manipulate them and randomize them. And that's basically how I build the main title too, with the idea, okay, how fast can I get building a decent main title that people can use with just RedGiant? So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's a unique point of universe as well, right, Chad? It's like it's sometimes it can be used like on the way not like how it designed. So like for example, I stumble upon like a lot of like universe plugins that actually like really useful when to be used in grading or color corrections setup. And if you want to, I can show you later on after Alex breaking down the scene. And there are some like I consider gems in universe plugins that you can just simply use it for grading and get a good result fast.
Right. So what I did so far was just choose a preset. I change the columns, the rows. I bring my background opacity to 0 because I want to use something else for the background. And the only thing that I'm going to do right now is alt click. I'm going to use the most overused expression in After Effects, which is wiggle. And I'm going to increase the frequency by 1 and the altitude by 2. And now if I press play, you can see that my ISO are like changing. I'm going to pull that back. I'm going to rename this so I don't ISO BG. I don't lose myself in pre-compositions. I'm going to pre-compose this super fast. And I'm going to call this background elements. Then I'm going to create a camera right away. And also a null that I'm going to use mainly to control X and Y's. I'm going to link my camera to my null, and I'm going to leave it there. Now I'm going to go into my pre-composition. The first thing I'm going to do is change my width and height, because when I'm moving from the camera, I want to have more elements to the left, right, up, down. And basically, this is the composition where we're going to puzzle everything together. So I'm going to increase this by 2,500 by 3,000. And I think that will do just fine. Perfect. Cool. So now I'm just going to place this one here up. Make it 50. We can increase a bit more, let's say 70. And that's our first puzzle. Now I'm going to have a new solid. I'm going to rename this to lines. And I'm going to apply again a ray gun. I'm going to choose a preset. The dashboard is loading. Thank you. A ray gun. And I'm going to pick this one. Thank you. And this one here, I can, again, decrease the columns, decrease the rows. I do not want any backgrounds. I'm going to leave that. And now I'm going to search for my circle shape.
I think it's in the single shape area.
I think like you're right.
There you go.
Yes, you are. None. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna decrease this also. Okay, you. I'm gonna increase the size somewhere like that. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna put this one like this. Cool. Give arrows. Thank you. Okay, the next thing, I'm going to enable my grid, and I'm gonna click here on my pen tool, and I'm just gonna try to draw a straight line, which isn't straight at all, but that's fine. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna disable my grid so I have a clear space now. There you go. And I'm gonna rename this to line 90 degrees. And I'm going to open the contents, shape, stroke, and I'm going to add a dash. And I'm going to play with the dash size. Like this, let's say. I'm gonna add another dash. And I'm gonna play with the gap between, like this, let's say. I'm gonna apply another dash and try to kind of find a look that I like. I think that's fine. So now we can animate the offset. Going at the end, let's increase it by 200. So now when I play, it should start moving. Let's increase it by a bit more. Let's say 600. I'm gonna solo this just to preview it. And now it's moving. Now we got our lines. And you can always change the pixel size by going up here and selecting the layer. And now it's thinner. Or just by simply opening the contents, shape, stroke, and you have stroke width here. And if I put it to 5, now it's thinner. So I'm going to switch back to 10. So I got my main line here. And from here is just building. Building, building, building. I'm going to have another shape layer to kind of try to divide this space from this space here. So I'm just going to try to draw a small line just like that. Shift up arrow to move it. So now I divided that space. This divider up. I'm gonna close that. And I heard that you, Chad, you are a Trapcode special. So this is how I like to use form. So the way I use form, well, there are many ways you can use form, but for me personally, I also like to use it to clone my sprites and create super fast elements. So base form, I don't want any particles in Z. I want around 5 particles in X, around 5 particles in Y. I'm going to increase the size here like that. I'm going to close this for now. And I'm going to go to the particles and I'm going to change from sphere to sprite. And form has a bunch of cool presets for sprites. And you can check like all of them, but some of them are animated, and the ones that I'm going to use today are the ones from symbols. I'm going to choose blips or free and auto apply, and nothing's going to show because the size is just too small. So if I increase the size now by 100, you're going to start seeing them. So I'm going to start increasing the size until they start to touch each other's. And if I also solo this, you're going to see that they're already animated. And just to add a little bit more flavor, we can play with the opacity randomness. I'm just going to add another wiggle formula, and I'm going to increase this by 10 and altitude 100. So I'm going to close this. And now if I preview, you can start seeing that there's like this flickering effect happening randomly between them. Now, I wish I could apply another solid, but they couldn't with form, but the current workflow kind of forces me not to do that. So I'm going to have to pre-compose this. I'm going to call this form block. I'm going to pre-compose it, and I am going to play with the size. Let me move this up somewhere there. Cool. Play with the size, and I'm going to also unlink the size between X and Y, so I can individually control them and stretch them if I want in it. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to increase the size like that.
Hey Alex, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So if I understand correctly, before this wiggle expression on the opacity of the form, you created a wiggle expression on each of the two array gun things at the top, right? And the random seed is what you applied the expression to, is that right?
Right. That's just a random seed, so it automatically changes the seeds where it displays X and O's. So
Interesting. So then, like, every single frame, you're just getting like a completely different shape. So it's just like super chaotic and.
Exactly.
I've never done that before. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
So as I said, like this session, it's all about how to do this fast. I'm not here to claim I'll do this well or great. It's just how to achieve this fast. So I'm just
another thing you could do is you could also use the time expression, which is like even shorter by a couple characters.
Right. That's
I'm thinking out loud. Never mind.
No, you're right. You're right. No, that's completely right. That's completely true.
This is just like really inspiring. Just like the way you work is really cool, and like Form is like my favorite After Effects tool. So just seeing you work, like seeing what a talented artist would do in these tools that I use, it's like really eye-opening. It's very cool. It's like oh wow, that's a very creative use. If I was more skilled and creative, I could do things like this.
Again,
that's why it is recorded, Chad. That's why.
Yes, I love this.
I think again that's a very over-exaggerated compliment. I appreciate it, but yeah. So now I want to add another form element, and again, super fast. Switch to sprites. Choose a preset. There's no reason to complicate ourselves. I'm going to scroll down to symbols again, and it's going to load a bit, and this time let's take a circle shape. I'm going to increase the size again by 100, and going back to my base form here, I'm going to increase the link size in XYZ, and instead of 5, let's do 10. And let's do also 10. Cool. And I'm going to increase the size until they get spread like that. Cool. I have to pre-compose these two again together. Thank you. I'll rename this to form block. Cool. And I'm going to create a fast rectangle mask. Let's make it like this. My size, I'm gonna unlink again the X from Y just to kind of have more freedom manipulating the scale. And I'm going to place this block right here. Thank you. Let's do it like this. Cool. So now I'll try to level this up just so we have the same margin right there. Done. Now we have our main two blocks, and we can pre-compose this. We'll call it blocks. Thank you. And I'm gonna shift this right here. Yeah. And we're gonna duplicate it a bunch of times. There. And I'm gonna duplicate it one more time. Going to put it right. So now I have my main blocks right there. Now, we can add another line in between, kind of like to create like this divider. So I'm going to do that right now. Again, I'm going to enable my grid. I'm going to create a point right here. By the way, make sure that you have nothing selected, because otherwise it will mask the layer you have selected. So just make sure that you have nothing selected before you create a shape layer with the pen tool. And I'm going to rename this to, let's say, line. Again, those silly names are just for me, so I don't lose my my shapes. Okay. Now I'm going to open again the contents shape.
Hey, Alex, another question. So
Sure.
do you turn on the grid so that you could make more of a straight line?
Right.
Okay. Do you like does the shift shortcut work? Are you familiar with that? Because I think if you
Right.
hold the shift key, you can make it constrains it to like 45-degree angles, like automatically.
Yeah, you're completely right. It's just this is my absolutely most trusty of a workflow that I'm used to like just use the grid. So it's what I feel comfortable with. But you're completely right. Like that's listen to Chad. Don't listen to me. I'm just here to show you cheap tricks. So do not listen to me. Listen to Chad.
No, I love that. I think like for me, like I'm looking at your art skills and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then like my background is like being a trainer, like I know kind of like what the buttons do and the shortcuts and stuff like that. So we combine forces. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm just trying to like add as many dashes as I like to see and kind of customize them. Okay, that looks kind of cool. And again, I'm going to animate the offset. Let's put it 2000, so it moves relatively fast. So now if I solid this and I press play, you can see that it's moving. Cool. So that's our divider there. We can also duplicate this, shift up, down, and let's remove some dashes just so we have a bit more customization. Stroke dashes. I'm going to delete this one. Oh, sorry. That was not the button that I wanted to press. So I'm going to press this minus and one more. Cool. Open the dashes and I'm going to scale the gap down like that. I can also just decrease the stroke width here by 5. And now we have fast 2 lines moving. And for more customization, I can also just decrease the offset at the end of the animation by 1000. So now they move at different speeds. There you go. So I'm going to close this. Then we kind of need like 2 more things here before we start adding like the other elements like text and like the main animation that I had with the 2 lines moving up and forth. So what we can do to achieve that super fast, we're going to use something called text style from universe. I'm going to apply that to my solid. I'm going to rename this to text style. And again, we have access to many wonderful presets here. Text style. And we kind of like, we can go with whatever we want, whatever we like. I'm going to choose this one. Press apply.
Like I've used textile before. What does that do?
So it's basically trying to create randomized text and tile them, and you have customizations like columns, shapes, headers. You can randomize cool stuff like I'm just going to show you right now. Just going to put it right there. So
Okay.
you have
kind of looks like not hacker text, but screen text.
Screen text.
Kind of looks like screen text, but you have more control over formatting or something. Oh,
Right.
wow.
So if I add right now just a random wiggle expression, let's say let's increase this by frequency 10 and aptitude, I don't know, 50. Now if I play it, I start getting errors all over the place, and it has a bunch of more customization. Like I can increase the gap between my texts. I can even remove the gap if I don't want any gaps. You can have as many columns and rows as you like. So it's a super powerful product that allows you to tile your text and play with randomizers and shapes, and I can have access to different presets like what if I don't want to have names? What if I want to have time hours? And now I have time hours, and it's like create super fast text that you can randomize and tile around.
Amazing.
So I'm gonna leave that for now here, right there. Maybe let's move it a bit more like this. Cool. Let's create another shape layer around it. I'm going to create it like this. I'm going to contents, rectangle. I'm going to delete my my fill here, so I only have the stroke. And to the stroke width, I'm going to put it down to 2. So now I have like this thin stroke around my text, and I'm going to rename this to text style border. And here we can add different elements. Let's say Maximus and Chad. I'm gonna switch the font to only cell. Oh, sorry. Control Z. Oh, go back. Thank you. And Chad. Okay, size, put it by text size, let's say 50. I'm going to put it on top here. Let's make it smaller, 25 or 30. There you go. We got our Maximus and Chad here.
Yeah. Error, error, error.
error.
That said like a lot.
Right. So now I'm going to create another solid. I'm gonna use again form. Base form. This time I want 0 on Z and 0 on Y. I just want, let's say, 10 particle in X. I'm gonna switch again to sprites, choose a sprite, and now let's choose something different. Oh, this one looks kind of cool. Let's take this one. I'm gonna increase the size now till my sprite starts to show. There you go. I'm gonna move it down here. Put it right there. Can increase my base form right here just to kind of create a space in between, and I'm going to leave it right there. Cool. I'm going to pre-compose them again. Name this M and C from Maximus and Chad. Apply this right there. And then let's create another text then. Let's do another text. Let's put the today's date, which is 16.06.2022. And I'm going to use a different font. Let's go with this one. Okay. And I'm going to put it just on top. So again, just trying to put as many elements as I want just to form the base background for the elements. And I think that looks just fine. So I'm going to create another small divider here, like that. And what we can do this time is go down to fill, delete again the fill, get a stroke, increase the width like that, add one dash, increase the dashes, add another one, increase the gap, and one more. Okay. And I'm gonna put the stroke width a bit smaller, 20. So that will be my divider. I can move everything a bit lower, let's say, and I'm going to take my divider here. So that was my divider, and close this. Thank you. So new solid. This time let's use Hacker Text because you just mentioned it, and we can edit text here super quick, and we can add let's say max on color show, and max off, just like that. We're switching, turning off the colors.
I like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna take this right there. Just so I have.
I'm so excited to see what you turn this into, man. This
Yeah,
is like
it's like
so
the plot
cool
building up.
All right, this is all. This is
the
all
plot
the
build up.
Right. So, what Hacker Text allows us to do is have a bunch of randomizers here, and you have scroll with time or scroll with transition, and nothing really happens right now. But if I play with a text transition, you can start see that it switches from our Maxon color to Maxon off.
With some random characters in between.
Right. And with those randomizers, you can control like the scroll rate, like how fast do you want, the frame rate, and so on. You have access to flicker if you wanted to flicker. You have access to kind of like dictate which random characters to be used. So we can even go full symbols if you want. So eventually it will turn into our desired text, but I'm not going to do that for now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to disable everything. Hey. Okay, let me go back. Oh, there you go. So now I have only my max off. I'm gonna put this to 0. And let's put it to like half 100. So now it switches to max off. Cool. I'm gonna put this right here. Switch this right here. And there you go. That's another element done. Okay. I'm gonna create another solid now. Thank you. And this time let's use another fun text product from Universe, which is Type On. So there you go. I'm gonna put this here. Thank you. And again, they come with a bunch of useful presets that you can use. If my, okay, thank you. Again, you can use the presets if you want something super fast and then just edit the text, or you can play with it and add your own things. What should we type? Give me something, give me a sentence, anything.
June 16th, I guess.
Okay, another date.
Another date, yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Or yeah, or that, it works.
All right. Put this right here. Cool. So I got my stuff, and this one allows you to animate the transition. I'm going to do that right away. There you go. And you have also access to a bunch of other customizations that you can use. You can play with different characters if you want dashes, if you want prefixes, like let's say you want pipes as a prefix. You have access to many customization that you can use. And yeah, we're gonna leave that for now, and we could make a new solid. I'm gonna rename this, so this one was thank you, and this one I'm gonna leave it for now here. I'm gonna use another sprite because why not? And okay, base form on 0, then vertical sphere sprites. Choose a sprite, and let's pick something else. Symbols. Let's go with bliss. Okay, I like that. I'll increase the size by 100. And I am going to put that right there. Let me see if it's not going over my text. There you go. Cool. And of course we can go and like fill this with as many elements as you want and yada yada, but I think that will take us too much time. So I'm gonna jump back here on my main comp, and I'm gonna switch it to a 3D layer. So now I have access to my camera, and I'm going to rotate this to an interesting angle. Let's say like this. Let's put it like that. Just trying to pick just an interesting angle. Let's go like this. We can also play with the orientation a bit. This. Like that. And now because my camera is linked to my node, I'm actually going to rename this with X plus Y controls. I can control in a 2D space, no longer in 3D, my X and Y's, and I can create like a super small animation, let's say just moving up and down like this. I'm gonna cut it like that because we don't want to expose all of our imperfections. So now if I play, it's just going to move. So cool. Let's try to put this back to 0. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think that's interesting enough of an angle. So the next things that I'm going to do is first, I'm going to super fast black and white everything because I want every single element to be black and white. I'm going to use a fill, and I'm going to pick an interesting color. I usually like to use tertiary colors. IMax, you're more knowledgeable than I am.
That's actually my $1 million questions that I've been waiting to ask you. It's like when it's come to color, because I saw it like in your pieces and everything. Is there any methodology that you use when picking up colors? And when is there any color scheme that you use, or a best practice that you always do, that you always come back to when creating projects like this?
Right, so that's a great question. So I myself, I like to use like oversaturated colors, and I like to use tertiary colors or like counterpart colors, red, green, yellow, blue, yada yada yada. And lately I've been following a new trend, which started in the beginning as an interior design color rule, which is the 60-30-10 rule. And it's a super basic rule. It's in interior design, 60% should be a primary color, 30% should be a secondary color, and 10% should be a accent color.
Yeah.
And that interior design rule over the years was, you start to use it in software apps, like especially the phone apps, because they try to like, kind of show you exactly what you need to see at the right times.
Yeah.
And they start using it in the UI design for software applications. And nowadays you find it in compositing. And I actually have a video recommendation for everybody that's watching on YouTube. Just type why great movies use the 60-30-10% color rule by Wolf Crow. And
that's a nice video, man.
That guy is going to explain you why the greatest movies are using this super basic color rule.
And I think like in all like great movies, if I can steal your screen for a little bit.
Sure.
If you're familiar with this website called Shotdeck, it's like very fine website that collect all the movies and screenshot and so on that you can use for your own research. And like many movies has been doing this, and then you can really see, like, for example, in Blade Runner, you can really see, like, in this scenes, for example, the dominant color is green, and then there is like 30% of it, like probably this yellowish, and then like the very accent color is the red. And I think this type of rule is like really nice complement of the color chip chart that you normally see like this. Like for the longest period of time, I always like got confused whenever I see like chip chart color. It's like, okay, I got it. That's the color that used in the scene. But then what about the proportions? Is there any like guiding principles that allows the the balance, the amount of like this much color and that much color in the same scene? But apparently, I think the 60-30-10 rules can like complement that, like this complementary color type of thing. And then one more thing is that, like, if you go to this link, sessions.edu/color and color calculator, and you'll see like there are plenty of like color harmony that you can see. Like, for example, the harmony, the complementary color. So for example, if we choose like red, or let me refresh this. So for example, if I choose red, sorry, maybe I should. Okay, if I choose red and then I choose like the complementary color, it shows me that, okay, the complementary of red is in this case is like this green area. And if I go more into like the split complementary, then I have like the green and then the cyan, like that. And then now I have like this 3 different chip chart. But then with this knowledge, if I don't know like the 60-30-10 the design principles, probably I'll just go to the scene and like in creating like a set design or something like that. Okay, let's just put equal amount of red, put equal amount of cyan, and put equal amount of green. And I think like the 60-30-10 type of rule is like the complement to this knowledge. So you can like, okay, pick your dominant color. What is your dominant color? Maybe in this case is this red, slightly magenta, so it's pink, and then it goes to 30% of cyan, and then the accent color is just like this green. I think that's how normally the 60-30% rules can be used in set or pre-productions or something like that. But of course, it's not like you have to limit yourself onto that. You can always still use a different kind of like different hues of red, different hues of cyan, and so on and so forth, right? Because otherwise it will look cartoonish if you do it like this. Back to you, Alex.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah,
very cool, guys.
For such a composition, and by the way, if my resolution it's a bit messy, and usually I have my dashboards like put all over the place because I have like a ultra wide monitor. And the reason why it looks so messy is because if I try to share my entire screen, you're going to see like super minimalistic text, and it's not very readable. So I'm using like a split screen right now for the same monitor. So I'm sorry for the audience if they see like super distorted text or like why I'm not using that and that. It's because it's an award for that allows me to share my screen properly, so for you guys to see, because otherwise everything will be like super small and your eyes will hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now back to the main background elements. So because we're lazy, and because whenever you use foam, it creates like a background color. And because we're lazy and we don't want to go through every single element to disable the background color and so on and so forth, we're going to use an utility plugin from Universe called Unmult. And if I apply this right now, you're going to see that it basically removed my black background. If I don't use this, then the fill color is trying to apply on top of everything, including the background color, so things look a bit messy. But with Unmult, you can be lazy like me and fast and remove everything and have everything applied within one click, and that's it. You don't have to do anything. So if I enable my transparency layer here, you can see that it's completely transparent. My blacks are gone, and it just filled exactly the pixels that I want from form.
Hey Alex, could I add just really quick? When you're in Form, when you use a custom sprite, there's like a little, it's kind of hidden, but there's an Unmult button in Form that you could also click there as well if you wanted to. But this is easier because you just apply it once for like everything is because of the way you set it up. It's great too, but that's another option.
As I said, guys, follow Chad. Chad knows his stuff. Don't follow me. Chad is the expert. He's right. But I'm lazy and I want to achieve fast things, so Unmult is the way from RedGiant universe. So now that we have this, I'm just trying to like squeeze this a little bit like that. Take a
So as we see, you're going for like the red color, the red hue that you have here as a like the 60% of your dominant color.
Right, this will be my 60% of my dominant color, which supposedly this should be magenta, but correct me if I'm wrong, Max. Magenta as a color doesn't exist in the spectrum. It's all psychological things that we see. Did I get that right?
I think that's purple.
Oh, it was purple. Okay. Okay, because like I was reading this super complex documentation about aces and local color yellow, and they were talking about like color spectrum too, and it was like I don't remember exactly if it was magenta or purple, but I'm gonna take your word for it. And they were like, hey, we actually don't see that. It's all in our brain, but it doesn't exist because yada yada yada. So I was like, oh, that's interesting to know. I don't know that.
I know, right? It's like amazing to be an expert in color. It seems like it's like an impossible task because you have to be an expert in biology. You need to be an expert in physics, in everything.
Right, that's right. So now let's make our background. I'm going to use universe generators, and here we have like a bunch of cool products, but the one that interests me right now is soft gradient background that would allow you to create super fast soft backgrounds. And I'm going to click on the color map, and I'm going to switch to my magenta color right here, and I'm going to switch the high to a bit more reddish color, my mid low to an even more reddish color, and my shadow to an even more reddish color. So I have that there, and now I'm just going to play with the texture. I'm going to increase the texture opacity, and I'm going to switch from screen to overlay. So now things are a bit more contrasted. And I'm going to increase the contrast of my texture. Set it like that. I don't want any colorization. And I am going to remove the mask. Cool. And now I'm going to use a stock plugin called Venetian Blinds. You have this in After Effects. I'm going to apply it. And I just want to create like this blinds effects that I want. I'm going to put this to 90 degrees. And I am going to decrease the width. Let's put it by 10.
Nice.
And the transition, let's increase it like, let's say 60. I'm going to rename this to background. Put it right there behind. I'm going to make it a 3D layer, and I'm going to switch my view to 2 views, the second panel being on top. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to move it back in Z space. Press 1, and now I'm just going to scale this right there, and like that, let's say. Cool. And now we can just like play with opacity. How much do we want to see of it? We can have like 20%, we can have a 10%. We can also increase the amount of width if we want more or less. It just adds another layer of details.
Yeah.
So,
Alex, in creating these pieces, do you also do any color correction pass for your projects?
Mm-hmm.
And normally, how normally you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any secrets?
Right.
That you can
so, I mean, my main secret is just Magical Suite, right? Like,
okay.
you load looks, and you have access to everything, and that's my juice. But again, depends.
Because you normally just create stuff in After Effects, and it's like really convenient to be able to color correct your stuff inside After Effects as well with looks. I see.
Exactly, and since now we also have support for OpenColor IO, you can disable After Effects color management and let looks completely handle that for you. And you're gonna have access to aces. You're gonna have access to all the latest and sweetest things that you need in color management and color spaces. So that's my secret. That's my juice. But depends what I'm doing. If I'm working with media, or if I have media elements, then of course I'm trying to work in aces color space. If I'm doing something fast like this, sRGB will do. You don't need anything else. Just let the host run it. If I work in Cinema 4D, most of the time I'm going to render OpenEXR anyway, which will be in linear sRGB.
I see.
And sometimes if it's needed, if I'm required, then I will go through all the process and manually, convert materials, HDRIs to aces and have the entire pipeline run and, have After Effects run with the OpenColor plugin and so on and so forth. So it all depends what you need. Like, it's all situational. I will not.
Will you color correct this scene as well for us today?
Sure, we're going to use looks by the end of it. So,
cool.
Again, it's all situational. I see people trying to like push aces left and right, which they have all the reasons to do so. But in my opinion, it's all situational. It all depends what you do, what you need it for, and so on and so forth. So we created our background, and let's just have our secondary color made with different elements. I'm gonna have another shape layer here. I'm gonna create a shape layer, let's say like that, and I'm going to pre-compose this directly. Thank you. I'm gonna rename this, let's say, main title. Put there. Thank you. So I'm gonna go through transforms, and I need my contents. I'm gonna delete the fill again, and I'm going to unlink my scale here, just so I can push things together like that. And then on the stroke again, if I increase the width, I'm going to get like this rectangle shape, which is exactly what I need. We're gonna call this rectangle 1. And I'm gonna move it somewhere there. And I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna put it right there, let's say. And we can have both of them being just creating like a super random position animation. Let's go like that. Then 5 seconds later, let's go like this. It's going back and forth, and then like that. Then by the end, I'm just going to reset it to what I want it to be. Like that. So now if I play, I have like this super random animation.
Yeah.
Nothing much, nothing more. I'm going to go back to my main composition here. I'm going to make it a 3D layer, and I'm going to switch to my second view, and I'm going to move it a little bit forward into this space, so it gives me a bit more depth. And I'm going to press scale and just fitting it exactly what I want it to be. Let's do it like that right there. Cool. And now it's following my camera. I am going to fill this too. I will do this time assign color.
So this is going to be your 30% of.
Exactly. These elements will be mainly 40% of my colors. So I'm gonna leave this right here. Okay.
And the black is the accent, or is it the other way around?
The 10% accents, I usually like to leave it for imperfections.
Okay.
And we're going to use another universe fun plugin there to create like little imperfections and so on.
Cool.
And the 10% can be anything. It could be your blacks, it could be your whites, it could be whatever you want it to sync with, and have your ratio exactly how you want it. So I'm just gonna create just a small line right here, and another one here, like that. So now when I go back, I have another level of details. So, now, because you mentioned at 10%, I'm actually going directly to show you guys how you can use universe texturized motion in a different way that I don't think it was meant to be used. But again, if you're lazy like me and you're looking to create fast results, let's call this texture. What you can do is apply texturized motion. We're gonna set the blend mode to none because we want to see it. We're going to switch from concrete to shuttered. So now we have like this shuttered glass texture.
Yeah.
We're going to disable the mask because we don't need that. And I'm going to solo this for now. And I am going to change the texture behavior from cycle to stale because otherwise it will try to play per how many frames texture speeds you have. So it will try to play per a texture speed per frames that you decide to have, but I don't want that. I want to have it still. So I'm gonna have it sit still, and I'm gonna use levels. And I'm going to use levels because I need to have my blacks black, and I need to have my whites super bright whites, like that. So that will be my super fast texture that I'm going to pre-compose because otherwise I won't be able to fit it where I want to fit it right now. Adjustment layer. I'm gonna rename this displacement map, and I'm going to apply a displacement map to my adjustment layer, and I'm going to feed my texture composition that I just had. I'm going to wrap the pixels, and now you can see that if I increase the horizontal displacements or my vertical displacements, it creates like this shattered glass displacement, and it gives me another layer of detail where I'm trying to mimic like the glass look and so on. And you can do even further. You can add another adjustment layer, and you can use compound blur from universe, and we're gonna feed the same texture. And now you can see that it's trying to blur my whites from my textures, and it just creates like this, again, another layer of detail.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is that if I go back here and let's say, hey, I don't want it to be shadow class, I want something else, let's say abstract, and I'll go back to my main composition, now it changes based on that. So
okay.
I have
That's cool.
super fast control to my customizations, and it's just one click button done.
Yeah.
Of course, you can go more in detail, play even higher levels, play with the compound blur.
I think you just inspired me to use texturized motions even more in my grading, man. I can really see how it can be used in the grading situations as well. But I'll jump into that later.
I completely love texturized motion because it gives me the opportunity to not go and search for specific textures, and inside After Effects you can combine it with so many things. So you can tile it, you can clone it, you can create different effects with it, right?
Yeah.
And then I just feed that and I'm done. That's it. I don't have to pay for textures if I have a RedGiant or Maxon One subscription.
Yeah, and it comes with several different textures, right, that you can cycle.
Yes.
And you can even show it as still. I never thought about using that as stills, and I think it has some purpose.
Right. And again, I don't have to pay extra for any textures. It's inbuilt in the product. So for me, that's the main thing. I do not have to pay extra for anything. I have universe. That's it. So yeah.
You don't even have to import anything too. Like that's one of my favorite things. Even if I have libraries of stuff on my computer, but every time I have to find something, I'm like, ugh. But just to have it built into the plugin is so handy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with Chad.
So, are you gonna color grade it now? Color correct it? Awesome.
Sure. We can do that right now. I'm gonna add an adjustment layer. I'm gonna search for my secret right here. Apply looks, edit, and optical diffusion. It's great to.
Oh wait, I think you got look stretched out here in the preview. Yeah.
Give me a second. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I hope you guys can see my tool chain, but optical diffusion, it's a new tool within Lux, and it allows you to create somewhat realistic diffusion. Is based on the optical glow that you have in visual effects, and I love it. Since we got this, I keep using it. I love the looks that it gives me, and that's what I use lately. And we can play with different tools within Lux. We can increase the contrast if we want to. So I'm going to do that. Maybe bring down the exposure a little bit. There you go. You have access to different film prints and film negative, but I think Max have been running the show for quite a while, and he showed you all.
That's my bread and butter.
Exactly. So, as I said, I like oversaturated colors, so I'm going to increase the saturation by 20% here, and I think I'm going to leave it to that.
Nice.
So, there you go. I'm trying to remember if I missed anything or if I should switch to the motion template.
No, that's good, man. And I think what I can steal from you today is this old idea that I never the 60 30 10% rules, that's duh, it's there, come on, use it.
Right.
But I think it's more can be used more in the productions, set design or something like that. It's more the tool for the art directions. art director. But then if you are a colorist or compositor or something like this, understanding this understanding this stuff can can make you collaborate better with your art director, for example, right?
Right, completely right.
Well, that's amazing, man. Thank you so much for showing this, man.
No problem.
I think now what I want to show on top of your amazing piece, like my piece will look like terrible after showing your piece. I want to show up some tools inside Universe that normally people forgot about it, but actually they're really handy and you can use them for color corrections as well. And it's such a handy tool, and it can allows you for a fast looks and like good looks in an instant. Like if I can grab your screen, if I grab it and let me show my screen. So probably all of you familiar with the movie Kong, the Skull Island. I think like the very first like 5 minutes or something like that. There's like this montage that goes from 60s, from 50s, 60s, 70s, and so on and so forth. And then at the end, it goes through all the different timelines, and at the end it goes to the current timeline where the character lives. And actually I just did that. I just did the same look in one project previously, but sadly the project is not live yet, so I cannot show it, but I can show you with a different clips what I did. And what I did in the project is exactly this. So I create like a very old look clip. It's actually a shot like normal, but then if you want to show it like as if it's a nostalgia back in the day, and then you want to transition into the current timeline, you can do that with some Universe tools. Like
MisFire, it's super cool because
Exactly.
it allows you to create.
So that's actually the effect that I'm going for. And if you see what I'm using here is that. So, what I would like to point you out as well is that most of the Universe tools are mostly working effectively in the display screen space. It means like it works nicely in Rec 709 or as RGB, but does it mean that you should not use it in the color grading situations because of you want to work in a bigger color space first, and then and something that only works in a display space is out of questions? I don't think so. I think what you can do is that you can handle it. You can color correct everything first, like in the big color managed way, and then after that, when you hit the color of your display, in this case, if you want to put out in Rec 709, then you can apply the Universe effect on top of that. Like what you see here, if I disable everything, like I have I used LUT, like the film LUT that transform my clips from red into Rec 709, and then in the Rec 709 space I apply the RetroGrade. So and on top of RetroGrade I also use MisFire. So the difference is like what I normally do when I don't know about like a lot of Universe effects and I kind of feel like lost and don't know what to do and what effects actually do, is actually you can go to the Maxon website, to the Universe page, and as you hover over it, you can really see that this effect does this. So what I want to point out is that by using like the RetroGrade and MisFire, I can simulate like this very old looking footage. So without RetroGrade, it looks like this. Just the RetroGrade itself, it changed the look quite instantly. So if I reset it and just apply retrograde, like by default, it goes to black and white, and you can change the, how do you call it? You can change the frame size, and you can also do like this color treatment. But the color treatment itself, it's just how do you call it? Just playing, just to give you a tint of like magenta and green, and then also, you know, like if I slide the color process into the left, I got like green tint, and then I got red tint, like magenta tint when I slide it to the right. And then on top of that, I also add MisFire. And in this clip, this particular here, I use exactly the same effect like before, like the retrograde and MisFire is here. But what I did is that I add a keyframe so that the effects goes from full on into like no effects at all here. So if I turn it on and if I play it, it has like this effects that goes like full on, and then at some point it transitions. Oh, sorry. Sorry for the low frame rate. My computer is screaming at the screaming at me at this time. So yeah, you can do that by simply just going to the key output here, and here I'm selecting the note number 9, and exactly at this point it's full on, and at this how do you call it? At this point, I just reduce it to 0. But why does it not showing things here? There you go. So, but yeah, I don't know why it's not showing. But the idea is that, you know, you take the effects and then you keyframe it from full on with the effects, and then after that, you reduce it at the end of your timeline. And another thing that's really nice in Universe is that this tools that called Noir. So, for example, here, let me just, normally when you want to get black and white images, what you normally do is that, like the very simple things that you can do is that you, let me just turn off everything. Let's reset everything. Let me reset everything first so we can start fresh. Okay, so we have like a clip from ReLoxy here, and normally when you want to create like a black and white look, the default things is that you go to like like RGB mixer and do the monochrome here. But for example here, let me just use the ReLoxy LUT at the end so that it transform my clip from ReLoxy into Rec 709. And like the normal way to do like the black and white, you normally just do that monochrome and then you play around with the red and green output. But there's a better way to do that. And I found out that, you know, combining the film print with a black and white film negative in Magic Bullet looks, and then also on top of that adding the noir from the universe, it's like really giving you like really this filmic black and white look. And if I can showcase that, if I reset this, I can put Magic Bullet looks here. Give it some times, and it's showing up in different window, of course. So what you can do is that like you can choose your preferred way of working. You can either work with the 1D color handling, or if you want more accuracy, I can just use Open Color IO. And I tell that this is a clip that coming from Ari Alexa with exposure index of 800. I want to preview it in Rec 709, and I want to output it in Rec 709 as well. What I can do is that I can drop in film print right at the end, and at the front, at the front of the tool chain, I can use my film negative and just use like the black and white film stocks. Of course, reduce the grain if I don't want to, and I can also reduce the grain here. And this looks way much different rather than you simply adding like a monochrome black and white with RGB mixer, because you have like all the color density that the film print gave you. And then what I normally do on top of that is that just by using the Noir, if I can type it correctly. And what's nice here is that now we already have like the Rec 709 space after implementing the Magic Bullet looks here, because Magic Bullet looks apply the film negative and then also the film print, and also transform your clips into Rec 709 display space. And here I can just apply Noir, and then what's really nice here that you can you have like all tons of different presets. For example, like this Venetian's abstract that you can apply to have like some kind of like this Venetian blind, sorry, on your clips. And yeah, that's just like some of the tools that you know, really useful in color grading when inside Universe. And as Alex pointed out before, texturize motions. Man, how I never used that, but you know, texturize motions. Now, if I want to simulate something like very old, crumply photo, for example, I can actually do that with this crumpled paper and leave it as still and combine it with MisFire or RetroGrade, and that would be like a very valid old 50s, 60s type of looks.
Yep, it's great.
Right.
Universe is full of.
I never thought about that, using that for, you know, creating a looks on top of my color corrections.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I wanted to say that Universe is full of such plugins. Like you have VHS, you have multitone that allows you to map colors. Like when you change your color scheme, highlights, midtone, shadows, you can like map every color. So Universe is part of the Universe stylized group.
Yeah.
You have access to many products that just like gives you the fast look.
Well, do you have your favorite, Chad?
Yeah, you know, like my favorites until today have been a lot of the motion graphics category. Like the HUD components is like so powerful for creating motion graphics. You could do just like so many complex things. And like same thing with like Progresso, like stupid, but like the line effect. Just to create an animated line with an arrowhead in After Effects is unbelievably complicated. Like it shouldn't be that complicated, but it is. But then line just makes this like super easy, quick tool that's just super flexible. So my favorites have been little things like that. But then today, you guys just like blown my mind with what's possible with Universe. Even like you used like the soft gradient background, or the soft fractal background, whatever that's called, Fury. Like you used that earlier, and like I never would use that effect because it just feels like too simple. And like you played with it and made it do cool things and added the Venetian Blinds with it, and it was like, oh my gosh, like I feel so inspired to be more creative with what you've done with these tools. I love that.
And I think like the best way, if you want to learn, if you want to know what each tool is doing, is actually simply to go to Maxon website and go to Universe page, because it's like mentioned there. Everything is there if you want to see it, what each tool is doing. Well,
I put that link in the chat.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you very much.
We'll have that. And then also the RGU Universe dashboard in the Adobe products in After Effects and Premiere. It's another great way because then you could just see all of the effects and their categories, and you could also see the presets for them. So those are really helpful as well.
Yep, please follow Chad.
Yeah. And
He's right about it.
Alex, thank you so much for attending, man. Thank you so much for giving us your time and
Yes.
passionately walking us through your train of thought and sharing your tips and tricks. And yeah, I'm sure we all can learn from your workflow, man.
Thank you, thank you. If the time permits, or like if you give me 2 more minutes just to show people exactly how to use the motion template from the package.
Of course.
Right. So I prepare a little motion template that can be used in After Effects and Premiere Pro, and it will allow you to customize the actual project, not the ones that we try to do today, but like the actual project that we showed in the beginning. And I also prepare a render which has like neutral text and stuff like that. So if you are a DaVinci user or a Final Cut Pro user, you can just put whatever text you want on top. You can use the render however you want. I wish there was a way for other hosts to communicate between each other. Maybe that's a cool product idea for anybody that wants to open that kind of worms. But right now, there's no way to communicate data in between. So I'm sorry if you're a DaVinci user or Final Cut Pro user or Sony Vegas user or any type of other video editing software, but I did prepare for you a specific render. You can load it, put your title in, and do whatever you want with it.
Awesome.
So if you're an After Effects user, you simply click Open Project. I'm going to go to my folder and click on my main title here, which is a motion template. I'm going to open it, and it's going to ask you to extract somewhere the project file because you're also going to get access in After Effects to the full project file. So if you don't want to use the fast customization that I provide, you can go in there, open any composition, and play with it, do whatever you want, change them however you want, and so on. Now I'm going to wait on After Effects. Hopefully it loads everything. Cool. So load. Give me my viewport. Thank you. So I try to simplify things as much as possible for user to just come in and customize without going too much in depth. So you can open this, it will open exactly like this, and you can change fast. So if I want to change the main title text right here, I'm going to double click it here. I'm going to type Max on color instead. And now it changes Maxon color. If I want to change the elements colors, let's say, I don't know, I want my background elements to go from magenta to, let's say, green. I press OK, and now they are instantly green. If I want my loading text to be from cyan to purple, press OK, and now it's just purple. So you have access to all of this. If I want my text now to be white, now it's white. You can also play with the texture amount. So if you want more texture, more plus texture, you have more of it. You can play with the displacements. If you want less or more, you can add that. But you can also just play with the camera like this, so you don't have to go in depth trying to change things. So if I try to switch angles here, you can see that it's moving, and this one just controls my XY position. And now I'm going to share my screen to Premiere Pro. I'm going to have to switch, just so you know, Max.
No problem, man.
Okay, I'm going to switch window, Premiere Pro. So I hope you can see my.
Yeah.
Cool. So in Premiere Pro, what you have to do is basically come here to this tab called Graphics and Titles. You click on it, and you're gonna click on Install Motion Graphic Template, and you're gonna select the motion template. It's gonna load it, and it's gonna appear here in the Essential Graphics tab. You're gonna say right here, and I'm gonna simply drag and drop that, and I'm gonna wait for Premiere Pro to run this. And again, do whatever you want with it. Use it however you want. It's all yours.
Pyramid just said in the chat, that's sick, man. He's gonna have some fun with that. Do it. Awesome.
Hopefully you do have fun. So I'm gonna
Thanks so
wait
much for all this work. That's a lot of setup to do. So, thank you
Yeah,
for doing that.
I wanted for the audience to not have to go through like all the pain, and I'm also very bad at explaining stuff, and I'm pretty sure I got a lot of things wrong. So I was like, I'm just gonna simplify things. Open it, have fun, done.
Yeah.
So in Premiere Pro, you're gonna have access to all the customizations. If you want to change the title, you can change it. Maxon color. You have access to absolutely every single title. So if you see here my name down there, I'm gonna change this to Maximus and Chad.
The usual suspect.
Right, and if you see, and if I zoom in right here without my Premiere Pro going too crazy, you can see that it changed to Maximum and Chad. And again, full. You can change things how you want, more texture, more displacement, just like in After Effects. Change colors to whatever you want. One click button, okay, done, and it's changed. So yeah, have fun with it.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. And if you guys don't know where to download that, I think if you go to the descriptions on the YouTube, there will be a link that that will lead you into this Dropbox. So just download the project files and have fun with that. So also to point out that this session is recorded. So if you want to follow along with the recordings, you can do that. Simply go to YouTube and type in Maxon Training Team, and you will see the recordings of the sessions as well. And if you want to check out Alex other works, awesome works, you can go to YouTube and type in Fury, or his website furyportfolio.art. So, and follow him, subscribe, and like, right?
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Without further ado, let us close this session. Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much, Chad.
Thank you, Alex.
This is amazing.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again.
And as the closing video, I will play your, how do you call it, your portfolio, your up-to-date latest project, right, Alex?
Right.
So with that being said, thank you so much, guys. I hope to see you in the next sessions, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.